Hi, my name is Steven and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking to you about more cheap ways to relax, reducing stress on the cheap. For my recent viewers, you guys know that I'm going through a very large transition in my life. And let me tell you, it hasn't been the easiest of times. It has been incredibly difficult to manage all the stress happening in my life all at once. Even though I did a lot of detailed planning, there were still unexpected challenges that came out of nowhere. And a bunch of things that just didn't work out so well for me, so I had to deal with that stress unexpectedly. And I needed to find more ways to calm me down during this stressful time without a lot of time or money. And some of these cheap relaxing tips I've used throughout my life. Because in reality, some of the best ways to beat stress is also some of the cheapest. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about my background, my cheap stress tips, and my general thoughts. And before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, comment, share with your friends, hit that notification bell if you like this content. And let's go. So the background of this is that I'm currently going through a large transition period in my life. I'm changing my job, my house, and also adding additional member to my family. And this has really ramped up my stress and anxiety level over the last couple of weeks. And the traditional methods that I usually use to relieve stress just aren't available to me at the moment. These usually include taking a vacation, traveling, hanging out with friends, or just starting a new hobby. And because my time is so limited, I'm not able to do these things like I would in the years prior. So I have to do my best to try to relax quickly and efficiently as much as possible. These are things that you can do pretty easily and doesn't require a lot of planning or forethought. The best part about this is once you're able to implement them in your daily ritual, you'll gain the long-term benefits from stress relief. So here are my cheap ways to relax. Number 1, drive aimlessly. Prior to high gas prices, driving around aimlessly has been one of the best and cheapest ways for me to relax. This is because driving around even without a destination in mind has helped me to get my mind off the things that are troubling me and really detach from whatever is stressing me out at the moment. It also helps you to process whatever's going through your mind so you're less burdened after the drive. Because your mind is lightly focused on driving and the rest of your mind is idle, so you have time to process your thoughts. I've used this tip quite a bit in my life, especially prior to the pandemic, where I would usually drive from 30 minutes to an hour. And this especially works if you're driving through nature or in an area with not a lot of traffic. The more open the road is, the more calm I feel. And usually after an hour of driving aimlessly, I'm pretty calm afterwards. So definitely if you can afford the gas, get out, drive aimlessly, and relax while you're doing it. You'll definitely be able to relieve some stress and process some of the things that are bothering you. It's not as cheap as it once was, but it's definitely a way to relax your mind. Number 2, visit a body of water. When you're looking for a cheap way to relax, get near a body of water and just stare at it or spend a lot of time next to it. I'm talking about oceans, lakes, rivers, or even a pond. And just spend time next to that body of water. Maybe it's the hypnotic nature of the water ripples or the calming sounds of the river. Something about it relaxes me. And when I'm watching waves or ripples in the water, my mind instantly turns off and I don't think about what's causing me stress. I totally forget about my problems, at least for a little while. And you might also find other ways that water can relax you as well. For example, swimming, taking a hot shower, or even going kayaking can relax you. So visit your nearest body of water and let it guide you to relaxation. Number 3, solo date night. This took me a while to get used to, but when you're able to go out by yourself on a solo date night, it can be one of the most relaxing things that you do. And it's a great way to give yourself alone time and reduce the stress that's currently inhabiting your life. Because when you go out by yourself, you realize that you have the ability to do whatever you want whenever you want to. It can be a very freeing event and give you a break from all your responsibilities and not having the expectations of you entertaining that other person next to you. For me, a simple solo date night I would have is dinner and a movie. I'd go to my favorite fast food place and then watch my favorite movie. It's something that I do when I want time for myself and I want to get away from all the current problems that's stressing me out. And sometimes I go to other events by myself, like events or festivals. The key is to find some time in which you can thoroughly enjoy yourself without the expectation of others. So find your version of the perfect date night and try doing it solo. And enjoy yourself in the process and don't get stuck in your head about you being out there by yourself and people judging you for it. And pick date activities that are reasonable in price. You don't have to go all out unless you want to. So go on that date with the best version of yourself to reduce stress. Number 4, journaling. Writing out what's going on in my mind has been one of the best ways for me to get rid of stress and anxiety. Getting those thoughts on paper are critical for me not to obsess about it over and over in my mind. Because once it's on paper, it doesn't have to be in my mind thinking about it anymore. And it's a great way to slow down your thinking and process it in real time on paper. Although when I first started, it wasn't an easy habit to get into. I wasn't used to expressing my thoughts on paper. And I also had to learn to trust the process of writing down my thoughts and also be honest with myself, to not write lies on paper, write the truth. Because sometimes you just want to write the best version of yourself and hide the true feelings. The best time journaling has helped me is that I'm obsessing over something and I can't get rid of my thoughts. And sometimes it just requires you seeing the thoughts on paper for you to be relieved of that stress. It's just another way to process your thoughts by slowing it down so you can actually read and interpret it. So writing your stress down in a daily journal can be a great cheap way to reduce stress. And number 5, reach out to someone. Finally, if you need a super cheap way to relax, reach out to a friend or family member and just talk to them about your problems. Preferably someone really close to you and you have a level of trust with them. Talking about your problems and your stressors have been an easy, cheap way for me to deal with stress and anxiety in my life. The key though is to find someone that truly listens to all your problems and not judge you for them. And that their advice is practical and within context to the problems that you're going through. And depending on how cheap you can go, you can simply call them or schedule a coffee date with them. When I need to reduce stress, a simple phone call with a trusted friend will be my go-to. And usually I'm able to bounce back from whatever is bothering me or at least feel a little bit better about that situation. And the secondary effects is that it also helps in the bonding process with that person. You form a deeper connection because you shared something with them. So find a friend, reach out to them, tell them your problems, and that's a cheap way to find relaxation. So here are my general thoughts on cheap ways to relieve stress. It's certainly not easy sometimes to relax in general because of what you have going on. Because we can get so wrapped up in what we're doing and not take care of ourselves appropriately. And sometimes when we do plan to relax, we overspend to compensate for whatever we didn't do in our day-to-day self-care. But if we're able to implement stress-reducing techniques within our day-to-day lives, we can not only mitigate burnout over the long term, but also be able to do it on the cheap. Check out my previous video on how to reduce stress on the cheap. It's another video that I made about my stress-relieving techniques and how I'm able to implement it without spending a lot of money. So those are some of my ways that I reduce stress without spending a lot of money. Certainly these past few weeks have been difficult for me, but I do see the light at the end of the tunnel. By sprinkling in quick and cheap ways to relieve stress, I can take care of myself and not burn out in the process. Because I currently have a relentless pace and my expectations for what I need to do is through the roof. So I hope you're able to take some of these tips and implement them in your life as well. Remember that in order for you to gain the lifetime benefits of these stress relieving techniques, you have to be able to implement them in your daily life and consistently go through with them. You don't have to use all of my tips, just find the ones that work for you and you're able to do them over the long term. So thank you for watching. Please leave a comment down below on what stress relieving tips that you use and does it cost a lot of money or not. And I'll see you next time.